Hi there, Paulo. So you sent us more essays. Good. Let's take a look and see what you did here, okay? So this is the one about online translation apps. Let's see what you said. The use of language translation apps has grown in importance over the last few years, especially due to, it's not the globalization, it's just globalization. While these apps can cause some misunderstanding related to their inaccuracy, I strongly believe they are beneficial, particularly, you're missing an L, in science research. This essay will discuss both sides, using examples from Harvard and Oxford universities to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, fair enough. It's fine. Fine. You did what you were supposed to do, so no problems there. Let's go on. On the one hand, careful with your typing, it's on the one hand. There's ample evidence that language translation apps such as Google Translator and Duolingo may cause some inaccuracies and confusion. The reason behind this is due to the fact that these applications translate language only literally. Consequently, they are unable to understand double meaning, collocations, and other language subtleties, which compromises wide and precise understanding. Careful with your typing, especially in novels and literature. For instance, a recent study by Harvard University has shown that even the most modern translation apps are still unable to contextualize expressions and discern emotions. All right, lovely. Some really nice language there, some really good vocabulary, so that's all very lovely. All right, we're going to talk about a problem that I see here. When I finish the essay, there is a problem, but we'll get to it in a minute. On the other hand, although translation apps have the mentioned limitations, it must not be forgotten that they are extremely helpful. Careful with your typing, again, in scientific research. This is largely because scientific articles are entirely technical and therefore with less of those double meanings, jokes, and feelings unable to be caught. Careful with this by the translation apps. As a result, vast scientific material in hundreds of different languages on the internet can be read by the scientific community over the world. To illustrate, PhD students, there's usually a capital D here, from Oxford University use, without the S, Google Translator with an O, to analyze medical works over on acupuncture, originally published in Chinese and Japanese. In conclusion, even though language translation apps still have some limitations, I believe the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages because they permit, they permit ample scientific research to be done over the internet. I think grammatically that makes more sense. All right, I really liked a lot of your language here. A lot of the grammar was good. Your spelling mistakes are numerous, and I really want you to be careful because it's a place that, I mean, it was consistent enough that I think it probably would lower your score, and that would be such a shame for an otherwise nice high score in vocabulary to be, lowered just by some spelling mistakes. So please, 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 please be careful with those. Now, let's talk about what I think is the more serious issue here. I want to remind you what the topic was. Do the benefits outweigh the disadvantages? Now, what does that mean? It means that we're going to have to talk about both of them, benefits and disadvantages. But notice what I said. I said benefits, plural, multiple benefits, and multiple disadvantages. So, I want to just quickly look through your paragraphs again. And let's see if you, in fact, talked about more than one advantage. Let's see. Here's where we talked about the advantages. You said they were helpful in scientific work. You said that lots of scientific work can be read by the scientific community. You gave us an example. So to be quite honest with you, it really feels like that's just one advantage. You said they're extremely helpful in scientific research. Excuse me. I can't find another advantage, really. I think you just went into a lot of detail about it, but it was essentially one advantage. Now, as far as the disadvantages are concerned, you said that they can cause inaccuracies and confusion. They translate only literally. and they don't get like kind of nuance. So basically, that's going to be a big problem because it means that you haven't covered the task fully. You've covered it only partially by giving only one benefit and only one disadvantage. Did you go into a lot of detail about each of those? Yeah, you did. But again, it's not really following the directions. So I want you to be absolutely careful about something like this. You have to really pay attention to the question and make sure that you, are aware of this kind of thing, okay? Other than that, like I said, it was nicely written. It was just your spelling mistakes that were unfortunate. Other than that, like I said, a lot of really good vocabulary that was lovely. I mean, it was well written. But that's going to be a big problem. So definitely watch out for it. Let's take a look at your task 1 now. Okay, it's the pie chart with the school subjects. Let's see what you wrote. The pie chart above displays the preference of school disciplines, and you mentioned them. In Germany in 2017, overall, the most popular subjects were physical education, history, and information technology was by far the least, not the less, least popular discipline among German, capital G, students. Careful with your typing in 2017. While there is no significant difference between physics and math's popularity, that's a little awkward. While there is no significant difference between physics and math in terms of popularity, or while there is no significant difference between the popularity of physics and maths, being both in high consideration in the research, history is nearly 4 times more popular than geography. All right, this is rather strange. First of all, I don't know why we're talking about this. This is random and irrelevant, so it didn't really belong here. And then I thought this whole thing was kind of bizarre. You said there was no difference here. Yeah, I'm just confused. Like, you're not really telling me anything. You're just, there's no data. I'm not really sure why you've decided to organize this way. Is this supposed to be part of your overview? Because if it is, I would get rid of it. It's not helping your overview in any single way. So, for me, your overview probably should have been confined to just this, and then you would have been fine. This whole sentence, it confused me. I didn't understand the logic behind it. It doesn't really tell me anything. And I know you're going to go into more detail about these differences and these similarities, so don't go into this level of detail here in your introduction, in your overview, okay? All right, let's take a look at the detail paragraphs. Physical education held the first position with 22.9% of popularity, being closely followed by history with 22.4%. Then, maths and physics were in the 3rd and the 4th places with quite similar numbers, respectively. No, 19.5 and 18.1, respectively, 1 L only. On the other hand, information technology was the least, not less, least popular discipline among German capital students with only 3.7% of the preference. Geography and biology were the 2nd and 3rd least, EAST. Popular subjects with close figures at no comma here, 6.4 and 7.4 respectively. Okay, so I think I understand why you decided to write this. You probably were concerned that 28 words. Yeah, that's why you did it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, actually, you know what? Let me try this again. Okay, that's why. All right, your answer itself is 154 words. And so my sense is that you were really trying to kind of beef this up so you could get above that 150 word minimum. But like I said, this really did not do you any favors. You needed to get rid of this. Unfortunately, if you got rid of it, then you were dangerously low. I mean, you were like at 120 something words. And that's really obvious. I mean, it felt to me underdeveloped. My opinion is that these types of charts where there's very little information, they are actually more challenging than the ones that have lots of information. Because you're kind of like, all right, well, how do I extend this? How do I expand it to make it comparisons and to make, sort of relevant sort of comments about this and report it in a relevant way, but still go over the 150 words. Well, here is my thought on this. Okay, first of all, this is one of those pie charts where you absolutely do not want to group. You did at one point. You said, oh, X and Y were in 3rd and 4th place. Don't group anything together, because that's something you do when you have a lot of information, all right, and you have to kind of edit things and put them together. Here, you really want to treat these very separately and really kind of focus on the differences, and also it might help you to do a little math here. So take a look at what I mean. You already pointed out what PE was, and you pointed out what IT was. Well, look at the difference. It's like a 7-fold difference between the top and the least. So that's something you could have mentioned. You could have also mentioned that the 2 least subjects, or that rather IT, the least popular subject, was half, almost half, of the 2nd least popular. Okay, so that, well, in terms of percentage, it's not like a huge difference. In terms of what that actually means, that like geography is double the percentage of IT, it is kind of significant if you think about it. So these are some of the things that I thought you could have mentioned. Let's see, you could have mentioned that there was like a, there's a 1.4% difference between them. I mean, you could have just, like I said, mentioned some of this. He's really go into some details, and because you don't have a chance to do this a lot, because usually there's so much information that you have to edit it down, but this is a chance for you to really use some language and show, and highlight some of these differences here. So that's what was missing for me. Like I said, this didn't help you. This just kind of hurt. And then you could have extended your answer in a different way. So go ahead, correct these. Let's see some more work from you. We'll be waiting. So good luck with that.